hardest thing to me is dealing with very strong personalities in this house. A very strong personality in this house.
That's what to say.
Are we rolling?
I think all cameras are rolling.
Okay. This is really weird without the kids. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the KidCity Family Show! There's no kids today, so it's a little less intense.
That's all right.
That is all right. Today on the KidCity Family Show, we are doing a follow-up to YouTuber Life Part 1. There was so much left unsaid, so many more details that I wish I would have said. There's good things and bad things, like everything.
Yes.
Part of the reason that we wanted to have this conversation about YouTuber life is we get approached all the time about parents say, my kids want to be YouTubers. So it's very helpful, I think, for people to have an accurate understanding of what it takes, what it is, what goes into it, because a lot of people just assume what they see on camera
is what you do first.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
They think it's all of it, and it's not.
Okay.
There's a lot that goes into it. So we're going to talk about that today. But first, a word from our sponsors. Our sponsor today is the KidCity app on Roku and iOS and Android. Get your full library of your favorite KidCity shows off of YouTube.
Yeah.
On your favorite device. Watch them, stream them safely with no other YouTubers or shows or anything.
Sneaking in there.
Sneaking in there. It's not algorithm based. I'll say that. So our KidCity apps are not algorithm based. Your kids watch what they choose to watch, not what a machine wants them to watch. That's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
I think it's a big deal.
It is.
That's one of the problems of YouTube and some of the other streaming platforms is that they're not satisfied with you subscribing to something and watching what you've subscribed to. It used to be, the YouTube app used to be where you would have a subscription column and a discovery column. If you wanted new stuff, you would click on discovery.
Okay.
If you wanted to watch what
you subscribe to, you would go to the subscription column. Okay.
And all of the things that you've chosen to watch are right there, and you could ignore all the new stuff. They weren't satisfied with that. So they combined the two, and then they choose for you what they think that you want to watch. So you can have theoretically 3 million subscribers, and your video only gets 100,000 views on it because they make an assumption that they think that your audience won't like it. So, So download KidCity on Roku. Did you have some questions?
Sure, I have some questions.
Last time we played the game of conversation, and a family told us that I'm going to shout them out.
Oh, do it.
Give me just a second.
This is kind of going to just be an icebreaker. Kind of get to know MomCity and DadCity.
We're still getting to know each other after all these years. It's always hard. It's never an easy name. Gollyhue.
Let me look at it.
Who apparently stands with Israel because they have a flag on there. Shauna Gollyhue, the Gollyhue family.
That's how I would try it.
They said that they have played this game every day since we watched the episode, the game of conversation. Yeah, and the kids love it.
That's great.
Yeah, that's what we do. We try to inspire families to play together. And spend time together.
That is correct.
I'm trying to inspire my own family to spend time together. That's a challenge. Okay, so we listened to a podcast.
We did.
Called Raising Boys and Girls with
Sissy Goff and David Thomas.
Yes. And
out of Nashville, Tennessee. Go check it out.
Yeah, and they ask a question every...
at the end of their session with their guests. We're not going to ask that question.
Well, then just tell them what the question is.
Oh, the question, if I remember right, they love tacos, but then they want to know if you're a chips and guacamole person or a chips and queso person.
We're not going to ask that question, but we're going to answer it. I was asked this at a Mexican restaurant yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yes. And I'm a chips and guac person. I used to be a chips and queso person.
Before the incident.
No, before I found out that Cheese is not the best thing
It's
to
not his
put in my
friend.
digestive tract.
His body does not enjoy cheese or dairy.
Yeah.
It's
more y'all don't enjoy after I eat it.
You don't enjoy it either.
Yeah.
That's a hard question for me because I like them both. It depends on where I'm at. So if I'm at a certain restaurant, it's chips and guac. If I'm at another restaurant, it's going to be queso.
What restaurant?
Well, Chipotle, it's chips and guac because their queso is...
Oh, man. Okay. Well, they're not our sponsor. So just say what you want.
Bravo on the chips and guac, though.
Yeah.
Bravo. But if I'm like at
Salty
Uncle
chips,
Julio's...
salty, good, burrito,
but
bowls,
Uncle Julio's...
just not your cheese.
Uncle Julio's, pretty much any other Mexican restaurant.
All right.
Because I don't like tomatoes in my guacamole. I think it waters it down.
What about sun-dried tomatoes?
Well, that was good at Media.
Okay. I liked it too.
That guacamole was good.
Ask your questions.
What's the best show on TV right now?
There's no show, or is TV still a thing?
I don't know.
Do people still watch TV?
I thought this was an interesting question because we don't watch TV really.
Does this include Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus?
Yeah, that's the available.
Which I'm about to unsubscribe from everything. I'm coming for you, Netflix. They're raising the price again. It's gonna be $23. $23 for Netflix. We don't watch TV.
We don't.
We used to. And that's the only thing I can remember about not having kids is I watched a lot more TV.
Absolutely. Even when Beckett was little, we watched TV.
You watched The Bachelor?
I watched that Scandal on
You got
ABC.
me into Scandal, so you would watch it, and then I would have my laptop up in my lap, and I'd be like,
what's going on
this is
today? But you secretly enjoyed it.
I liked it.
No longer do we watch network television.
We used to watch House.
Yeah, there's no shows like that we know of.
There's so much content out there. I feel like you need references.
That's true.
Just for a show. Like, what are y'all watching?
And a lot of them are on Netflix.
Documentary, and you're like, where?
Watching them.
Tell us what a good family-friendly show is in the comments, and we'll watch it, and we may shout you out or review it. Not that we need anything
more to do.
Okay, but we do watch something. We're not like, oh, we're all business. We do watch things. What are you watching right now?
Well, clearly it's October, so I'm already gearing up for the Christmas movies. So I subscribe to Friendly, which is like an
extra streaming service.
An extra streaming service.
Because you can't get all the channels on one service.
Because Hulu didn't have Hallmark and all that. But Great American Family, I'm watching all of the cheesy, what's the word I'm looking for?
They're Hallmark movies, but they're not on Hallmark.
Cheesy, formulaic romance movies.
What do you like about those? Because we could make those.
You know, I'm finding out I've started like 3 and I'm not feeling it. So I just deleted them and didn't finish it.
You've started 3 that you weren't feeling. Is it because they were too familiar? Like the plot just seemed like the other plot that you watched?
Maybe my expectations.
You didn't like the man in it.
Maybe. Maybe it's a boring story. I don't feel
Once you've experienced
DadCity
true manhood.
What are you watching right now, honey?
Well, if you must ask, I have this ongoing project. Watching for me is a to-do list. And I have an ongoing project. This is going to sound so weird to anybody else that's not a wrestling fan. But I'm a classic wrestling fan. I don't like tune in every week to try to see what Roman Reigns is doing or who's fighting right now. I watched as a kid, and it's very nostalgic for me. But there was a lot that I didn't see as a kid. A lot of, like, you couldn't DVR things.
Yeah.
So if you were outside playing, you missed it on Saturday morning. So what I chose to do is start from the beginning, like start from a certain year. I started at 1987, which is when I started watching it. And I found on a forum, I found all of the weekly episodes
of the
TV
Saturday morning
of the
show
Saturday
that you
morning
like.
show, WWF Superstars. I found all of the weekly episodes, and I started watching them, the weekly episode of programming, all the way through, chronologically. You can't do that on the network. You can't do that on Peacock. So you have to have these special episodes. So I watched all the way through, from 1987 every week, and I would stop at pay-per-views, and I would go find those on the network, and then I would come back to the weekly show, and I would follow the storyline all the way through from 1987, and right now, I've been doing this for a couple of years, and this is what I watch to fall asleep sometimes, to
wind down at night after dealing with the kids.
I'm at 1998 right now.
Okay.
I've watched 11 years of wrestling programming.
Man, that's a commitment.
It is a commitment.
How do you feel?
I hate wrestling now. I hate...
You hate what it's become.
So what I've seen, and this is kind of an interesting conversation, I think. So what I've seen, and plays into culture right now, is very eye-opening. I watched from 1987 to 1998 culture shift. You can see the audience change. You can see the attitudes change. In 1987, the audience was going, root for the heroes, get the bad guys. Somewhere along the way, and I think it was 1993, the audience, their attitudes started changing. And they started saying vulgar things to the good guys. And they started making vulgar gestures to the good guys. And there's a really strange year in there to where a lot of the good guys are looking at the audience going,
why are you talking to me like this?
What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
And so then around 1996, 1997, wrestling started playing into that. And then the audience started to cheer the bad guys. And it was this major cultural shift. And it was around like the Jerry Springer phenomenon, and Clinton was in the media
what
a
else
lot.
is
And
going
there was just
on in culture?
you can see it if you look at everything else going around in culture. Where we are today, you can see it happen in about 10 years to where good is not good anymore. Bad is celebrated. In the car today, Ava wanted to listen to the Descendants soundtrack. Descendants 3, it looks cute. And then you start listening to the words that they're saying, and they're like,
rotten to the core.
I'm rotten to the core. I'm evil. I'm bad. And I get it. It's a celebration of the villains. I get it that it's fun and it's different. But the hit movies are the Joker. It's been flipped on its head. And I saw it happen in wrestling because you can see the audience. And nobody knows who to root for anymore. Palestine-Israel conflict, it's like you don't know. It used to be so clear who to root for.
We know who to root for.
Okay, yeah, but the culture
is confused.
Right now in the news, you're seeing culture root for two different things from the same place. One country completely divided. They're divided on ideals, but they're also divided on the definition of good and evil.
Yes, but there was a foreshadowing of that to happen.
Hey, kids! Deep conversation. All right. That's what I'm watching. So you're watching Hallmark movies, and I'm watching
gearing
cultural
up for Christmas.
go into the toilet
Yeah.
via wrestling shows. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
This is deeper conversation than we wanted.
That's kind of the point of this, yes?
Yes.
Yes. What is your favorite movie of all time?
I'm gonna let you answer that for me.
His is Back to the Future.
Clearly Back to the Future.
1.
And I'll tell you why. Back to the Future is the ultimate movie that crosses genres. Back in the day when you're shopping at Blockbuster, you don't know where to get Back to the Future. It's action adventure, it's comedy, it's sci-fi, it's romance, it's all of the above.
Very light on the romance.
There's Earth Angel.
That's true.
Earth Angel, the one I adore.
Thank you. You've made your point.
Okay. What's your favorite movie of all time? You don't know.
I don't know.
I know you don't know.
I know the one that as a child that I loved to watch.
Mary Poppins.
No, that was Rebecca, my cousin. We had to watch it every time we were over there. And when we were at my other cousin's house, forever we had to watch Matilda all the time.
Yeah.
Mine would be Beauty and the Beast.
Tale as old as time.
Probably because she's the only brunette.
Live action or cartoon?
Not the live action, the classic cartoon, because it's, I'll just leave it at that.
There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing woke. There's nothing.
There's not. I just didn't like Emma Watson as Belle. I didn't like who they cast.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
But if you're going to watch it, and if you say Beauty and the Beast,
it is the animation.
Okay. We should talk about YouTube.
Let's do it.
But first, This next segment is brought to you by all of the new things coming up on KidCity. On our channels, we are doing a resurgence of Awesome Amazing America. We're re-editing a special bonus footage version of the first leg of our trips, where we went to Washington and Virginia, and we've also put together a really cool resource guide of all of our favorite places that we visited, the restaurants, the hot spots.
Lodging.
Yes, the lodging. And the
things that we purchased on Amazon to wear.
Yes. And so you'll get Amazon links of those things. And also a scavenger hunt guide of items that we did not use but are in our videos that kids can download and follow along with on the special compilation episode of season 1 of Awesome Amazing America, which is going to launch us into Grand Canyon, Texas State Fair,
Alaska,
and our Alaska trip, which is going to be a lot of fun.
All of those are dropping before the end of the year.
Yeah, lots of cool things happening on KidCity Family.
That's right.
And we want to thank you for sponsoring this video.
Okay.
We're talking about YouTube. A lot of families asked us a lot of questions over the years about YouTube and what we do. One of the biggest surprises that we get is they say, "This is your full-time job?"
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that, honey.
Tell us about that.
Is it our full-time job?
It is our full-time job.
Yeah.
We did YouTube on the side.
What was your full-time job before that?
I
Before
was
YouTube?
a school nurse
School nurse.
in middle school.
Also not a triage nurse. What's the word I'm looking
Telemetry.
for? Telemetry nurse.
In the hospital. Didn't enjoy that.
Well, you didn't enjoy working at night.
No. And 40 miles away.
That was pretty miserable.
It was
moment
miserable.
in our life.
I would work all weekend nights and sleep during the day. And then Beckett would go to my mother's day out. And I didn't like the schedule. So I found a job where I could get the summers off and holidays. And that was school nursing.
School nursing
and it was
good.
Great for a little while.
Yeah. We saw a lot of weird stories every night, disgusting stories from the school nursing days.
Yes.
How was your day, honey? The boy pooped on himself. Again. That's our dinner conversation every day.
I was shocked that how many kids didn't know basic first aid.
First aid? Hygiene. They didn't know hygiene.
They didn't know hygiene.
What did you have for breakfast this morning?
Diet
Why
Coke
is your
and
stomach?
Flaming
My stomach hurts.
Cheetos.
Why did you? Yeah, I had flaming hot Cheetos for breakfast. Where are your parents?
At work, probably. So it was just kind of that was a bit of a culture shock to see, what are these parents teaching their children? They don't know how this is an abrasion and you clean it and cover it with a Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm. A lot of kids don't know that. I don't know that Beckett would bleed out for sure.
You think so?
Yeah. If Beckett had a wound on his leg, he'd bleed out. And we'd be like, why did you bleed out? Why did you?
Ava is at the nurse's office way too much.
Every day. We get a nurse's note every day for Ava.
Everything is the end of the world.
Yeah.
Even if it's a minor cut, just to pieces.
Yep.
What did you do prior to doing
Lots
this?
of things.
I know.
When we started YouTube, I had 3 jobs. I did web development on the side. I was a part-time pastoral staff member at our home church, which plays right into why we started, and that's a whole nother podcast. Hearing from God on starting, and then I was the director of marketing for a wonderful ministry called Marriage Today with Jimmy and Karen Evans, and worked directly with their son on that, who's still a friend, and that was where I was when I developed probably the skills and the mentality necessary to do what we do today.
Not all the skills.
Very instrumental. No, but just it was very eye-opening.
Yeah.
It was very good, I guess, soil.
To be planted in for,
term to be planted in for a while until you grow. So, that's what we did. But it is a full-time job, and so we worked those 2 full-time jobs for 2 years.
2 years
while we developed the YouTube
on the
thing.
Yeah.
And eventually, it became it replaced our incomes, and we decided that it was best
to try.
Well, decided it was better to try than to stay at our old job. So it is a full-time business. Yeah. And for 7 years, we've been, 8 years, we've been working on it full-time. And now we produce less, but we manage more. We manage the library of content that we've made, distributing it to these different platforms and things. So, yeah. But that gives us time to start new projects like this. Second question is, how long does it take to make one video?
Depends on what type of video we're making. So if you've been around and you know our old stuff, like the obstacle courses in the backyard, the games in the house, the character stuff, that...
You and I would spend a lot of time setting that up throughout the week while the kids were at school.
Yes, and then when they got home, we would record and tape. Now, gaming is a lot less involved, takes a lot less time. Well, depends on what game we're playing.
Back to the conversation about how long does it take. Here's what's involved. A lot of people think that we sit down and we tape, but even this podcast, there's lighting, there's microphones, there's files, file management, there's a laptop involved, there's setup, there's arranging your house in a certain way, which is...
moving furniture, making sure the lighting looks good.
So we
taping a game board all over your floor.
The mental space that it takes to come up with what we're going to talk about and on a video, what the idea is, what's the point of the video, how are we going to do the intro, the costumes involved if it's a kid's video, the outline. And today, like the stress that I've had for a couple of days is what's the outline of what we're doing right now. Yesterday, we taped a gaming video. The gaming session only took 40 minutes, but the previous mental space that it took to try to figure out what makes this video different than the other 1,000 videos that we've made. What's a new twist that we can put on it that's entertaining to the audience? What's something that the kids will be interested in because they get bored a lot with what we, some of the stuff that we do. Yeah. And it was a Fortnite video where the loser had to endure Ava putting makeup all over their face. And it was kind of a Halloween makeup thing. But it took 2 days rolling around in my head, and I should have just thrown it to you and said, what do you want to do on this video? And tried to crowdsource it a little bit. So then we take it, we send it to the editor, we maybe edit it ourselves, which takes me a long, long time. And then there's file delivery and upload, and then there's a thumbnail to produce. And then there's trying to think about how YouTube is going to distribute this. You send it to the other partners, like Happy Kids, our partner or our apps. So there's creative, and then there's production, and then there's management.
And then post-production.
So there's a lot that goes into one video. And this is a great week for us to be talking about this because our team had to sit down at a table and say, what all do we have to do today? So if you want an accurate picture about what YouTube life is like, the production of a video is at center. Picture a job where you have to make a presentation at least once a week. And that weighs on your mind until it's completed. And then
you do it all again.
So like a pastor or a public speaker, you're creating content. You're fashioning this content. It's sitting with you. You're trying to figure out the best way to do it. Then you deliver it, you perform it, and then Monday's coming, and you have to do it all over again. So just this week, we're going to the state fair.
Finish up.
For the second time, because, spoiler alert, you're not going to see this in the video, but last time we left 2 hours before a shooting happened at the
our state fair. Can you believe it?
Yes, I can believe it.
I
know. So we're going back to finish the video. And we also have a Fortnite video that we're doing on the gaming channel, which requires all of that production.
You had to do a thumbnail for something on Saturday. Then we had to finish up AI attack stuff.
We did some green screen work for the new series that we're doing so we could deliver it to the LA studio, Pocket Watch. We had to set up and record this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We have a new series starting on the gaming channel, Spider-Man 2, a playthrough of that. That's something entirely different than what we're doing. We're working on revamping a studio. So we had multiple deadlines, plus a Nintendo sponsorship coming up.
Yes.
So the production aspect of this and the mental space that it takes to produce a weekly video, that's the biggest piece of what we do. So that's as accurate as this is a abnormally busy week though.
It is.
There's sometimes here's the good thing, because I'm sounding negative, like I'm trying to scare somebody away from. I just want to give an accurate picture. I'm not trying to scare anybody away. I wouldn't want to do anything else. I really wouldn't. The blessing of being able to work with you and the kids, you can't replace that.
Yeah.
And
sometimes it's a lot. Sometimes it's more than you want.
Yes. There are
and you have to understand that it's a 5-person team here, and most of the weight is on DadCity, because he's the one that has the ideas and the training and experience.
I appreciate you saying that.
In marketing and Photoshop and all of that.
Well, it's not like the kids are at school.
There are other YouTubers that have teams that come up with the ideas and do all of the stuff that we're doing for ourselves.
I asked you what's occupying your mind right now. Mm-hmm. What did you tell me?
I said the kids' schedules, house things, managing the family side of it, so not necessarily the business.
You are working all the time, just not on our
YouTube
business
stuff.
So you are entrenched all the time in family management.
Yeah.
So that, and I handle and sometimes it ebbs and flows. Family gets busy and we have to focus less on the business. Business gets busy. We have to focus less on the family, fun and things. And that's just the ebb and flow of what we do, because there's a balance. And when that gets imbalanced, that it's bad for everybody. Yeah. Because if the kids feel overworked, that's not good. And if I feel like no one's paying attention to the business, and that can be a stressor burden.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Let's move on to another.
So the short answer is it takes days to produce a video.
Mm-hmm. What's the hardest thing about what we do?
I think you already answered that.
What?
I think it's the constantly coming up with content that you can be proud of, have fun making, and that the people want to watch. Mm-hmm. Just like you said, the pastor who has to preach a sermon every week. You come up with this great idea and you deliver it and you feel like, yay, that was awesome. And then you're back to square one.
Yeah. I would say something different.
Okay.
I would say the hardest thing about working together as a family is the balance of personalities, and wanting to make sure that we're not speaking to each other as business people, but we are a family unit. Yeah. And remembering that we're a family unit. We're not working with child actors. We're working with our kids.
Children.
And we can't treat them as child actors, because hey, if you perform right now, then you'll get this reward, and trying to get them into the mood all the time. If we do that, we lose the ability to discipline the kids. So in the moment, if the kids are not acting right and we say, hey, here's a consequence for acting that way, you've ruined the video. Yeah. I mean, we have to stop down.
Yeah.
And so the hardest thing to me is dealing with very strong personalities in this house. A very strong personality in this house.
That's what to say.
I have a strong personality.
Yes, DadCity and Ava.
Have you singled us out?
I have. Me and Beckett are along for the ride. We will do what you ask us. Y'all are the
We're
ones that have
along
the
for the
ideas.
ride.
You have the ideas, and sometimes it just doesn't work. And sometimes you have to say, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
Like yesterday, she didn't want to take a photo for some reason. And Michael said, you're fired. And she said, no, I want to do it. I want to do it.
I fired my daughter on the spot. I fired her. But I didn't mean you're fired. I meant I'll do it myself. You don't have to do this.
Yeah.
Like, this is a thumbnail that it's just, we could have already had it done.
Exactly.
But you came in a bad mood from school. So I'll do it myself. I don't want to force anybody to do anything. So you go to your room and have your moment.
And that's what she
and
had
what did she say?
She said, no, I want to do it. I want to do it.
She reinserted herself into the thumbnail. She did not, she wanted to do it.
I'm not singling you out. I'm being honest.
No, I feel very singled out.
Me and Beckett have similar personalities.
So
listen, Ava she is difficult sometimes, but she's amazing in the same sense.
Mm-hmm.
And we wouldn't have the family dynamic or half of the funny moments on our YouTube channel or our content
in our home. Content aside,
if she wasn't the way she was, and she's been created like that for a reason. We need divine guidance from the Lord on how to raise this child that we have been blessed with.
If you have a wild kid, God's got a purpose for them.
And is wild the right answer?
She's got a soft heart and a wild you know what. That's the truth.
I guess. She's got a very strong will.
God's got a purpose for the wild child.
And the quiet one.
We have found that you have to raise two kids in the same household two very different ways. The same standards apply to each of them, but you have to talk to them in different ways.
Absolutely.
They receive things differently. And Ava has a soft heart. So discipline to her feels like,
you don't love me.
You don't love me. Discipline to Beckett feels like rules and safety guidelines. Thank you for telling me. Like, I didn't know I wasn't doing right. I need to straighten up.
Yeah.
Ava, if you raise your voice, she can fall apart. And as wild as she can seem and as strong and free-spirited as she can seem, she's also tenderhearted. So you have to approach the kids two different ways. And we have the same goal for both of them. And we have the same standards and rules for both of them. We have different graces for different areas of their lives.
Yes. Agree completely.
Yeah. Working together as parents with your kids, to me, has been the most informative. It's been a blessing. And it's also been it's been the biggest challenge of how do we manage the dynamic in our home when you also have to work with someone. A lot of people experienced that during the pandemic years. Like, we're all at home. How are we going to coexist? But a lot of people were doing different jobs.
Yeah.
You have your laptop. I have my laptop. It's two different companies. I need my Zoom call. You need your Zoom call. But when you're working on the same project together, that can be where it gets dicey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been the biggest challenge. You just have to approach it and remember that you're family. And just know that if I freak out about something from a business standpoint, it also affects the romantic part of things. You nearly knocked over a 14 terabyte drive off of our desk that contains our family history, our home photos, our home video, just because you
unintentionally
were farting around with something on the desk. And I about lost it. Like, don't you understand that this is how important this drive is? This has all our business history, our family history.
Didn't realize it was that fragile.
And about 30 minutes later, it took me to come in and say, I'm so sorry. There's no excuses. I apologize. So you have to balance work and home in a way that doesn't affect each other.
Yep.
Try to. It's not easy.
Next question.
What's the biggest benefit? Let's talk about the biggest benefit, the good thing that has come out. Because when I was doing ministry and I felt like I was pursuing something in my life that was apart from what you were pursuing.
Yeah.
You were pursuing home. You were pursuing kids. You were pursuing safety and stability in the home. I think you were pursuing normalcy and rhythm in life.
Probably.
Okay. That's early in marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I was pursuing a creative dream that I had. What I felt at the moment, I felt like God
and let me
wanted
preface
me to do.
that it's a lot of that is, I mean, what am I trying to say? That pursuit is, it comes from how you're raised and just the expectation for yourself and your future based on what you've seen modeled.
It's built in.
Not that it's a negative in any way. You assume that you are going to live pretty much the same type of life as your parents.
Both of us have lived very different lives than our parents.
Yes, we have. But early in marriage,
From a risk standpoint, starting a business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just you grow up and you see your parents go to work and work a job and you do your best for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, and you go to church and you try to raise your kids right and develop a relationship with the Lord.
Still doing that.
Yeah.
But our careers look very different.
Exactly. And you just assume that that's going to be the path that your life takes. So probably early in our marriage, that's where I was coming from.
Right.
Because I would have never in my wildest dreams or thought that I would be doing this as my job.
So when I was pursuing ministry, I was pursuing what I thought that God was calling me to do without consulting the family. And that's a hard position to be in, is feeling the urge to do something, but the family is not really on board and not really recognizing what that would do to the family if the whole family's not on board. Like I was 100% going towards planting a church, pastoring, and things happened that caused me to ask, am I supposed to be doing this? Is the whole family on board? And I came away from that. What?
As I say, the answer was no.
The answer was no, because you guys didn't feel that same calling. So it made me evaluate, maybe this was for a season, maybe this was through prayer and all of that, we started the YouTube channel. I was still working another job and you were still working another job, but you and I came to an agreement and said, do we want to do this together? The answer was yes. And then once we agreed on that, things really started happening. Because if you agree on it as a couple, then there's no blame to put on anybody. Because if things go south, you can both go, there's no pointing fingers. You can both go, we decided to do this and it didn't work. So
what are we going to do now?
It's okay. Yeah. We tried. But if one person is trying something and you're going two different directions, that's where I feel like things can go wrong. But we agreed on this.
Yes.
Because we felt like God was calling us to do it. And that brought us where we were going in two different directions. It brought us here and we started moving together. And the kids were in agreement with it and they wanted to do it. So when one of the biggest testimonies about our story is the power that came together when we unified in direction.
Absolutely.
And instead of going in different directions, we were suddenly moving together. And when we got together, God blessed it. And we never looked back. And we're still, I think...
Trucking along.
Trucking
along.
What's
We're just
the word? Trucking along.
Going down the road, continuing to go down the road.
God has blessed the unity of the family moving in the same direction.
Yes.
I would. So if anybody's thinking about doing a business, this is the altar call. If you'd come to the piano, if you are thinking about starting a business with your family,
pray about it.
Bow your head. No, I would highly recommend it. I think that even in the future,
we've just been talking about this.
Even in the future, if I have the opportunity, then after YouTube is gone, after this project is over, I cannot think of a better future than Beckett and Ava having their own goals and me being able to walk with them and partner with them on a business idea. If I can offer any knowledge, any support in getting them started and working together, even in the future. If you ask me where I wanted to be in 5 to 10 years, it would be a version of what we're doing now, working together at the very least.
Yeah, I don't ever want to go work for someone else again.
Just you, baby.
Just you. I'm not working for you. I'm working with you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I know someone asked me the other day, would you ever go back to nursing or do you miss it? And I said, not really.
I've never heard you miss it once. Especially during the pandemic.
Oh, I was
you were
so
like,
thankful.
I'm so glad that I'm just...
So thankful I didn't have to deal with all that.
Yeah. You were happy
I
to
told
not be
them
on
I
the
would
front
have been
lines.
fired. I'm not going to say why, but I would have been fired.
Okay.
I didn't say anything.
Editing these
I would
people.
have been fired. That's all.
Let's wrap this up.
Okay.
Before it devolves. So I do want to say that we are learning and having conversations and figuring this family thing out. And we in no way are parenting experts. So if you're looking for parenting experts, see the beginning of this video.
Boys and Girls podcast.
Yeah, there's lots of, we're having a conversation.
Raising
and
boys and
we're
girls.
we're not trying to sound like the perfect parents, the perfect family, the perfect YouTubers, the perfect content creators. We are not perfect.
Proclaiming that we're perfect at anything.
No, but we are trying to be a resource to the family. And we've also always tried to model a healthy situation, a healthy family, a faith-filled family, a fun-filled family. And those are the types of things that we're trying to model. We're not trying to model perfection at all. So there are some things that we're going to be talking about that are a little more real than what you might see in a fully edited down video. So you cool with that?
I'm cool with that.
Realism? You're cool with being honest?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's good for everybody because we have talked about how we've tried to raise kids, how we've tried to run our family, but it's not the only way to do it. We're just trying to talk about the way it's worked for us,
yeah,
and hasn't worked for us. So, yeah, lots more to come.
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
We had 8 questions and we answered 3 of them.
We had 8 questions? I said we had 8 questions.
We spent way too long on the icebreakers, but that's okay.
They were fun to talk about.
It was. And that's what you
We
want to
covered our
hear.
personalities, the conflict of personalities.
Yeah.
We covered unity.
Oh, yes. Maybe we did more than, maybe it's kind of.
How long does it take?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We covered a lot.
I'm not complaining or being negative.
Okay. All right. So here's what we want you guys to do. We want you guys to be involved in the topics that we talk about on the KidCity Family Show.
What do you want to hear?
So right now, there's a poll. And there's 3 things on the poll, and you get to choose. It's number 1, the story of the first viral videos that we did.
When we went viral.
When we went viral, the time that the government took control of kids' content in KidCity, and how in 2020 they really started to affect what we did, the U.S. government involvement. And number 3, what was the third one?
I don't know.
Go to Facebook.
I will.
Hey, my bud. Hey.
We're drawing a blank.
And number 3,
How we make a living being content creators.
How we make a living being content
might have
creators.
answered that a little bit here.
We teased it a little bit,
Excuse
but
me, hello.
there's some sponsorship things and some advertising. There's some a little bit more. But right now, the first viral videos story is going.
That's the winner.
And we right now. So vote now, and we'll continue to put polls out. And I'm excited about that one because there's a chronological aspect.
They don't want to hear your lips.
There's a chronological aspect to that is fun for me to say, okay, it was 2015. Okay, then it was 2016. And the videos that you saw, here's what was going on when we made them, when they blew up, and how it changed our lives. So I think that probably will be the next topic that we talk about, and that'll be fun.
Yeah, and will the kids be on that one?
The kids will be on there because they were a part of that.
So that one's going to be crazy.
Lots of laughs coming up on the KidCity Family Show. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, all kinds. So if you're watching the video version of this, we want to encourage you to also go to your favorite audio app and subscribe and follow us there so you can get the audio version while you drive and sing along.
Sing along. Let's do a Christmas sing along.
We may do that. Put that on the next poll. Okay, so you can listen along in the car with your family and have a good time. So, all right, thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you next time.
And listening.
Huh?
Thanks for watching and listening.
And listening. Thank you. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.